Hey, it's Risa G coming in from her cluttered kitchen for another Tip Tuesday. This one is kind of two tips, kind of for the same thing, kind of. I got the idea for this tip because I was doing this at the store yesterday, and I remembered that this is a really good tip that I thought I would share. Okay, this has to do with the bench scraper, or as Rachael Ray likes to call it, a food mover, because she uses, since we know that she does not bake, she uses it, instead of using it to scrape flour from her work surface, she uses it to move onions and garlic and things like that into her pot. Well, I'm using it for something completely different, but also to do with baking. Okay, so I thought I'd share this little tip. Also, you can do the same thing if you have a pizza cutter. Okay, and it has nothing to do with pizza. Okay, so here we go. Our tip for Tip Tuesday. Okay, now I'm going to use this diagram instead of a big wad of dough. All right, this is mainly for, this is a tip on how to use the bench scraper to help you to break up like big things of, I would say, cookie dough or any kind of frozen dough that you have. At the store we get these the dough for these cookies in that are all in one big block that have like lines in between them, and the cookies are all separated, but when they're frozen you can't move them, you can't break them apart, you can't like just take the two lines and break them apart, you can't do it, they're too solid. Yes, you could wait an hour or two, or half an hour, for it to soften a little bit so you can break it up easier. But we use the bench scraper. That's what we use. So I thought I would give you a diagram of exactly what we do. It's a much easier way of breaking apart this solid frozen dough. Now it does take a little muscle sometimes, but alright, so just imagine that this is a block of dough that is 6 by 6, okay? We get these blocks in, they're like 6 by 8 or 6 by 10 or something like that. Now, sometimes if we have the time, we let it sit out, you know, for half an hour or so, and then it's much easier. Then you just go like, you know, like one indentation, one boom, pop, 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 and it's done, all right? But most of the time, it's solid as a rock. So what I do is I put the end of, the end of the bench scraper in between, in the lines, all right? And I dig it in with as much strength as I can along the line, and then I rock it back and forth, yeah, all right, like this. All right, sometimes I try to go all the way through, boom, 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 boom. And then, when I've got some marks in it, then I put the whole thing in, and I push it this way, I push it that way. Do it about 3 or 4 times, back and forth. And then you're able to take it in your hands and break it apart, okay? And once you have it apart, after you have all of them broken apart, then you can take one piece and put it on your cookie sheet, and then take the end of it and just go, you know, in between each cookie and break each cookie apart, all right? And then, as I put here, then you can put it on your cookie sheet, okay? So first you rock it in and out, all right, in and out, and then you go back and forth, and it comes apart, okay? That's one thing you can do. If you don't have a bench scraper, but you do have a pizza cutter, wait until, I don't know, 15 minutes. A half an hour, something like that. And then you can use a pizza cutter, if it's sharp enough, and go in between the lines, okay? And then the other way, all right? and separate it. You can also do this with frozen, if you have like frozen rolls, things like that. You can't do it when it's frozen, but you can do it when it starts to soften. You can use both of these tips for like frozen bread dough, frozen rolls, if there's room in between each one. And if you wait like 15 minutes, a half an hour, or something like that, until it's at least slightly pliable, and then you can use them. Okay? And that's my tip. Okay, so that's my tip for Tip Tuesday. Hopefully you found it informative and useful. I try to make all my tips very useful. Also, of course, subscribe to Reese's Cluttered Kitchen and press that little bell. And we'll have another tip, another tool, usage, double duty tool, again next week on Reese's Cluttered Kitchen. Bye.